Hello friends, it's Stamp Ventures with Shauna here with a 2-minute tip for your stamp and emboss cutting machine. So just recently I held a Christmas card class and we made this card using the Horse and Sleigh stamps. It's an online exclusive stamp set, and then we used this die, and that die is from the Labels Aglow dies in the annual catalog, and it has all these little holes that kind of make it look like it's snowing. And I wanted to show you my tip for getting out all those little pieces quickly, and yeah, just a couple other things that you should keep in mind when you're using your cut and emboss machine. So I've already run the cardstock with the die through my cut and emboss machine, and I just followed the instructions on the plates here and on the platform so that I had it at just the right height, and I used 2 of the clear plates. Some of you may notice that this top plate is not nearly as scratched up as the bottom plate. I tend to use the bottom plate over and over and over, and I just keep turning it around every once in a while. Sometimes I find that there's a little bit of a bow in there, and so that just turning it helps to keep this plate very flat. What you're going to notice is once it starts to get really scratchy, you might want to take something like a Pampered Chef pan scraper and scrape off all the little bits that tend to stick to it. So tip number 1, use a little pan scraper to clean that off. Once this becomes too scratched up and just doesn't seem to be doing a very good job anymore, then I get a new set of plates and I put this one on the bottom and make it the more scratchy one, and I have a clean one that goes on top. And it seems to work. It keeps my plates going for a long time. Yeah, and just I think uses them in a wise way. So I'm going to move these plates and platforms out of the way because the next thing I'm going to talk about is the die brush. We used to have the die brush on a separate little tool, and now the die brush that we sell is an attachment for the Take Your Pick tool. And just one of these ends can come off and you can attach the die brush. But I don't have that one, I just have my old one. And here's tip number 2. When you go to use the brush to get out all those little pieces, keep the die on the front of the cardstock, because that's going to allow you to push more firmly, and you just roll those bristles around and you can push quite hard against the steel part of the die, and only where there's the little holes will those bristles poke through and poke those out. You don't have to worry about scratching your cardstock, because if you're just pushing it without this in front, you don't have the protection on the front of your card. So I just go like this, and you can see quite a few of those pieces are already out. Like, it's really good. So here's tip number 3. You can see with very fine and intricate dies, it sometimes helps to have a layer of wax paper in there. Helps for things just to pop out and slide out nice and easily. And if you don't want to actually physically put the wax paper in between, you can take and rub those edges, those cutting edges against the wax paper, and it picks up just a little bit of waxiness, which helps to release the die from the paper. So there's still just a few little spots in there, but not too many. Sometimes if they're really loose, you can just, snick it with your finger. Yeah, today's word of the day, snick it. And then you can take your pick tool with the pokey end to get the very last ones out. If you find that there's some that, I don't know if you can see, they're just like hanging on by the edge along there, you can take your die brush again and go like this, and that gets the last of them. So, okay, there must have been some little pieces that were underneath here that I didn't scrape off with my scraper from the last time I used it to cut. So anyways, those are some tips for the cut and emboss machine. Just makes the going so much better. And I hope you enjoyed those tips. Oh, did you see these little gems here? Those are from the Christmas, the holiday mini catalog. I guess it's called the September to December mini catalog. If you're in Moose Jaw and you'd like a copy of the catalog, they're now in my side bin, and you can get yours. You can pick up yours there. So thanks so much for stopping in, for seeing my 2-minute tips with the cut and emboss machine. Happy stamping, everyone.